there, people. Welcome to another episode of Who's That Anime? We are taking a mid-season break from Steins Gate. I say that. I'm pretty confident this is going to be a mid-season break for Steins Gate, so let's just go with that. It'll be totally fine. Colin is on holiday, so I am Steve, and with me, we have Robbie this week.
Hello.
Robbie, for those of you who have been with us long enough, will remember him from our fantastic episode on that Pokemon movie that I wish I could remember. I want to say Welcome to the Jungle. I don't think that's what it's called.
That was the Guns N' Roses Pokemon crossover episode.
The best one.
Axl Rose catches Poliwhirl. And Slash uses Slash repeatedly.
Oh my god. Wait, was Slash the one you used to get through the grass?
Oh no, that was Cut.
That was Cut, damn. That would have been so good. This is like, I'm just going to bring Guns N' Roses guitarist Slash with me to get through this forest.
Yeah, using the power of guitar solo. That was it. Where is Colin, by the way? Where's he on holiday?
I don't know. I think he's just off and dealing with stuff.
Oh, so he's just taking
he was coincidentally at this point also available, and I was like, but we've got stuff. He goes, so do you want to do it? It's like I can't do that because I'm doing this. And it's like, do you want to join us? He's like, what time is it? And I'm like, well, it's about 2+ hours of anime. You can squash that in. And he's like, could watch it at double speed. I'm like, that would be achievable. That is what I did for the Christmas special because things happened. Yeah. And then he messaged me with 45 minutes before we started recording, and he's like, I haven't started it yet. I'm like, well, double speed is not going to take you close.
Watching it double speed is what I wish I did for that Pokemon movie.
I mean, it would have made the We Are Zarude song a lot more entertaining.
Yeah.
Man, what a trip that
movie. What a time. Absolutely.
Maybe not the worst thing, but also not a good thing. Either. But so taking a bit of a break from Steins Gate, and I didn't want to pigeonhole you as hey, Robbie's going to be here, we should do a Pokemon episode, because I don't wish that on anyone, because it turns out there's maybe 1 or 2 good Pokemon movies, and maybe one day we want to save those for a good time. So instead, I was like, I messaged you, of course. It's like, well, what do you want to watch? And you're like, well, just choose something. And I was like, well, we both have Netflix, so here's a thing that has literally just as soon as I opened Netflix was like, hey, do you want to watch this? I was like, yeah, this should do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what was really good timing, actually, from you asking if I wanted to be involved in that, was that I've been thinking for a while, I am not, my knowledge of anime is extremely limited, but it's something that I've been saying to tons of people recently. I really want to start watching more of it and really get a lot of stuff under my belt. And then it just so happens that you messaged about this, and that's very much why I was like, I am in no position to recommend anything, so I will just go with whatever you feel we should talk about, and which is great. So that's it's good. Anime show done and dusted, and I can move on to the next one.
Yeah, let's start our weekly exploration of the original Pokemon series, starting at episode 1. I don't know. I've tried to rewatch it, and it's as much as the nostalgia's there. It's not very good. It's really not.
Often
it's really quite bad.
I think I mentioned last time, I will be the first to stick up for many aspects of the Pokemon franchise, but the anime, the TV show and the movies are largely irredeemable.
Yes, they've definitely vastly outweighed themselves in the negative in a few circumstances. One thing I did read recently that I thought was a nice salient point was how Jesse and James are obviously the bad guys, but they're like, how bad can they be? They treat Meowth like he's an equal. It's like they do, they treat that he is part of the decision-making process. He's not a Pokemon to them. He's literally a member of their team, and that's quite true.
Although I will say, as a cat owner, treating your cat as an equal is definitely the path of least resistance. If you want to just generally keep your skin intact and things like that, Yeah, the cat very much demands to be treated as an equal, or possibly your,
Your owner.
your emperor. Yeah, your emperor. Yeah.
It's like, no, I need you to do this now. Fine. Yeah, I cats are funny. But yeah, I thought that was it's relatively progressive, I think, for for
Absolutely.
Pokemon in a weird way.
Absolutely.
But God, that show is just. I do very much love all of the episodes with the ghost Pokemon in them, though. Those are all wonderful in just every bad way, but also great way.
And some of those earlier episodes that were revolving around ghost Pokemon are legitimately like pretty creepy.
Yeah. I think there are some. There are good episodes, but they definitely are vastly outweighed, as you say, by just guff for the most part.
And that's going to happen when you have like 300 episodes of series as well. You know,
Oh
it's
man,
it's madness.
Madness. As an anime that you may be interested in, I totally watched Naruto. God, nearly 20 years ago now, my word. And I really enjoyed Naruto to the end of the first arc. And then it was like, and now we're going to do nothing while we wait for the manga to catch up. And it's like, I don't want you to do that. None of this is interesting. Who would watch this? It's like in Dragon Ball Z when they're like, but what if like Vegeta had a mustache and they learned how to drive? I'm like, I don't like, I mean, yes, like that is a question you could ask, but is it relevant really? Not that long ago we were like killing things from the future. I don't know, like this seems like a bit of a step in a weird direction. And anime filler is one of the things that disappoints me the most, is because it is so often uttered just tripe.
Oh, absolutely. Pokemon is really guilty of that because they have to follow the pattern of like game releases and things like that. So they get to a point where the story arc is over. They've covered sort of what the previous game has covered, and the trading card releases and stuff like that. And then they have nothing but filler until the next game is announced, so they know what the characters are going to be doing, and it's it's bizarre, Just take a break.
Yeah,
take a break and stop.
Yeah, please. Yeah, because it's like what you're doing is diluting the quality of your show here. It's like that's why British television shows for the longest time it's like, oh, it's it's the new season of this. It's like, how many episodes? There's two episodes in this season.
Yeah,
you're like,
exactly.
They were very good. Like both
Absolutely.
of them. It wasn't 25 episodes and maybe 7 of them were all right.
Yeah,
it's like those 2 were excellent.
Yeah.
And then we had to wait another 5 years for the next season, which was 3 episodes. Like I find that so weird that then American TV shows started to like release on a cadence of like, oh, there's 8 episodes in this season. And it's like, yes, see, like just quality, up the budget per episode, and let's do it that way. It's like, I know that you want to like sell adverts and be on for half of the year, but
exactly.
Maybe get people to watch it and actually have the thing on the air. Get to syndication, and then all's going to be well. Going to be good times. But I don't know. I've tried with my kids multiple times to watch the Pokemon shows, and it's just like the interest is there for maybe 3 or 4 episodes, and then it's just like, what if we watch something else? And like, I got there earlier, but let's put on something else.
Yes, exactly. But, I think 3 or 4 shows is a good chunk of Pokemon before moving on to something else.
I think that's a valid point. So, moving on to what we actually watched was, as I say, I opened up Netflix thinking, maybe I should I'll have a look at the movie section as I normally do and see if there's anything in there. That's where we watched. Colin and I watched a movie called Your Name, which if you haven't watched, my God, it's incredible. Would highly recommend.
I've just put that on my list. Funny you should mention that. Yeah, so I'm home to watch that soon.
It is stunning. Absolutely stunning. Nice. Absolutely loved it. But all of a sudden, front page, top recommendation is a show called Vampire in the Garden. I was like, well, that's brand new. Maybe it would be interesting to talk about something brand new. Sure. And then I was like, I bet it's going to be, 25 episodes. And I open it up and it's like, nope. 5 episodes. Nice, neat, contained package. It's like, okay, this is perfect. It's about 2 hours worth of anime. We should be able to do this. greatly struggle, however, as with the name of being Vampire in the Garden, and the song by. I will ask you: is there a song you think that maybe you could sing the title of this anime to? Because I have one, and it won't leave me.
Oh my god, Vampire in the Garden.
Hearing you say it, I'm also hearing the sing song of it in my head.
Vampire in the Garden.
Yeah.
No,
It's
hit me.
so if I told you it was a Travis song.
Oh my god. Oh.
So yeah, I've been singing "Vampire in the Garden" to "Flowers in the Window" by Travis for a good week now. It just would not go away, and I've been dying to tell you this because it's just like I could tell him this over text, but I think it would have much greater impact if I could get him to try and guess. Yeah, so really weird name, and I think it sort of becomes. I sort of get it. I think now that that I've watched all of it, I kind of I have a grasp of what the. Yeah, I know.
I've got it going around in my head now.
It's so difficult.
Look at vampires in the garden.
It's really tough. It's really tough. And also, if they're in the garden, they're just going to turn to dust if they're not careful. So we sort of start off in episode 1, and it's like I say, it's imaginatively titled episode 1, and we're sort of in a world where there has been some sort of war, it would seem, for potentially for resource, I presume, for between vampires and humans have built this sort of big crazy city that's covered in lights and are protected from the vampires. But we start off with our character Momo, which is a name that I associate with that weird
Pokemon jungle movie.
Yes.
We're back. Forever haunted by this film.
I choose you. And she is part of some sort of military outfit that belongs to this sort of resistance of humans. Who I think that is it like an old church or like an old cathedral type thing?
Yeah, that was the impression I got. Because there's that great shot right at the start where the vampire bursts through the window.
Yes, the kind of the ceiling, the skylight type thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the skylight. Yeah. It's very very dramatic beginning.
Yeah, and it's like it's a full on battle with this guy bursting in, complaining that no one will leave him alone, even though he was the one that interrupted in the first place, which I thought was quite good. It's like, well, we were just here, you came here, so all right. It seemed quite good, and then he injects himself with the this sort of
like serum
sort
of thing, yeah.
It's like a steampunk EpiPen, I suppose. And he sort of morphs into this sort of approximation of what was a human or was a vampire into some sort of like ghoulish thing.
There was a definite werewolf quality to the face and stuff, like
the transformation did feel a bit werewolfish.
Yeah, definitely. But it was really interesting. I mean, obviously that we find out a little bit later, sort of the significance of that serum and the effect that it actually has and things like that. But it was the start really gripped me. I have to say I was slightly concerned when one of the was maybe like the commander or something, the leader of that team that had gone on this raid hunting for the vampires, had like the typical generic American overdub voice, but the one that's just completely emotionless. It was such an intense situation, and he's there with like the most calm American masculine voice, and that to me was like a little bit of a red flag. It ended up not being important. The show immediately redeemed itself, but
you're not wrong. He was kind of all right with it. Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
he
yeah,
was. Yeah,
we're being attacked, but it's fine.
I wrote down the actual line. It was well done, but there'll be more of them. Wipe them all out. But his delivery was like, well done, but there'll be more of them. Wipe them all out. And I'm thinking, like, someone has literally just nearly lost their life, you know?
Yeah. It's like, oh, hang on, I know this voice actor. You're the guy you're the guy from Resident Evil, the original one. It's like, oh, what is it? Blood. Like that level of Barry. You were almost a Jill sandwich level of yeah. I mean that's also distinctly Canadian, I think. Every voice actor involved in Resident Evil was like Canadian. And maybe not a voice actor.
Like polite indifference in the face of every situation. Yeah.
Barry, sorry. It was yeah, but you're yeah. There was definitely a bit off about him. But then they kind of get into the weapons and they start like plying him, like pumping into him with bullets pretty heavily, and it doesn't seem they don't seem to be doing too much damage with just the regular bullets. Yeah, and I think he bites or like kind of tears a couple of guys down and then attacks Momo's friend. I can't remember her name. It's gonna annoy me.
It wasn't Marion, was it? No.
Mirina?
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
She gets pinned down, and then Momo comes in and like blasts it with the big fucking thingy gun.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I don't know, walking around.
Bazooka.
Yeah, it's like because they also have the big UV lights as well. Like the guys come in, and I thought some of the weapon choices were kind of interesting. Like it's very sort of traditional weaponry, but with a little bit of an edge, not too futuristic.
I thought it was really really cool the way that they sort of emphasized the effect on like specifically that combination of weapons. Like unless the vampire was caught in the light for a more substantial amount of time, it could escape it, but it sort of stunned it. Yes. And then they sort of use both weapons in conjunction to actually take them down. You know, I thought that was pretty cool.
Sort of like buffs the ability of the gun to do its job.
Exactly.
Or like debuffs the vampire. It's pretty cool.
Exactly, yeah.
And then of course they kind of get out of that situation, and Momo and Marina are looking around. And they go. Is it Momo goes into the room? Yeah, and finds the little girl.
Yeah.
Who is obviously a vampire, and she is kind of holding on to a music, but like has the gives her the music box.
Yeah.
Because obviously Momo doesn't want to kill the child.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. Hesitates, which is okay.
Yeah. The music box is playing, isn't it? And she actually sort of presents it to her in a way. Yeah,
it's a nice tune as well.
Yeah, I thought that was really, I found that really interesting, and it's what sort of began to get me really invested in the show, was that the importance of music throughout it. I just thought that was a really really interesting route to go down, and obviously there's like more on that later, but yeah, that was really intriguing. And then the little girl uses the serum as well, doesn't she? Yeah, and actually becomes like far greater in size.
Oh yeah, like proper hulks out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And of course she still hesitates. Even though this little girl is now a gigantic monster who's going to tear her limb from limb. And that Mr. Calm Commander comes in. Yeah, I think, and he's like, I shoot it. And he does. He's like, why'd you hesitate? It's like, well, it's a little girl. It's like, well, she's a monster now. So, what can we do with that? Glad that didn't cross your mind at all. Okay, like it's fine. And of course, she keeps the music box.
Yeah.
Well, is it her or no? It's Marina, isn't it, that keeps the music box?
Oh yeah, and then and she shows Momo when they're at work.
Yes, because they have like,
sort of like
what is it? Is
another
it like
job?
Yeah, it's like I don't know. Is it like they're taking things that they find out in the Badlands or whatever, and breaking them down into their constituent parts to reuse in the city or something like that. It's very
I think
weird.
so. It was kind of like an assembly line almost. You know, it was it was really strange. So they do that, and then because I think the military stuff is it not suggested that it's like on a volunteer basis?
Yeah, I think it's like for entry level recruits or something like that, because there's definitely because we're about to get to the bit with General, is it Nobara, I think her name is, who is, we find out is Momo's mother.
Momo's mum, yeah.
So, but I think like the general is talking about the fact that, like, she's having a discussion with someone about the fact that, oh, they're using this serum now, the drug or whatever it is, and of course the one thing about it is that it does like give them incredible strength and just rage, it seems, but it will kill them very quickly. Like it's a last gasp thing. So like when they're doing it, they're making the decision that they're going to die, but they're going to die doing some real damage.
Yeah, totally. It effectively like turns them into a WMD. It's like
it's insane.
It's total kamikaze, isn't it?
And but they think this is a good thing because they think the increased rate of use of this drug makes them think that the vampires are worried, and because of that, like, oh, if they're showing concern, then clearly we're winning this fight, and everything's going to be okay. So we need to strike. I think they talk about striking a particular nest. I think that they've heard tale of. But as you were saying, like this whatever disassembly plant or anything, she gives Momo the music box that's broken.
Music box, yeah.
And she's like, just repair it and let me hear it once you fix it. And so I think the bit where we find out about Momo and the general being related, I think is because she calls her into her office to say, we have a new job for you, and it's not this crap that you've been doing. It's a more prestigious job, because also she seems to be like a reasonably good soldier, it would seem.
Yeah.
And of course the general's daughter, so she's going to get moved to a better position.
That's right, yeah.
And we kind of end there for a little bit, and I think this is the part where we introduce the vampire side of things.
Yeah.
Where we meet the queen of the vampires, as it were, I suppose, Fine, which I think is great. Because I also have great difficulty with this name. One, because if you look at it, it's written as Fine.
Yeah.
And two, if you ever watched Boy Meets World, there is Mr. Fine. And it was just very difficult for me to and I just remembered Eric Matthews going, Fine! Over and over and over. It's like, oh, yeah. This is going to be a struggle. We'll get through it. But yeah, we meet her, and she is in this sort of very elaborate and lavish palace type place, doing a bit of ballroom dancing, kind of enjoying life, it would seem.
So it's a really interesting way that they paint the vampires here, in contrast to sort of how it's been suggested that the humans are living and the vampires are enjoying like music and art and sort of the finer things. And I find that really interesting. And she was an immediately really intriguing character, this Fine, because she was so popular amongst the sort of younger female vampires. Were all sort of wanting to dance with her and things like that.
Yep.
And then not long, sort of immediately after the dance, she returns to what is presumably her house.
It's like a little cabin type place.
A little cabin, to take a break. And then we find out that she's exhausting herself because she has been refusing to drink blood. Yep.
Which is a very common trope within sort of vampire media, but I think the interesting part about it in this is that it's not a starvation thing. It's there's a health kind of thing. It's like, no, these vampires eat and do whatever else, but the blood is sort of a level of sustenance in a weird way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, this is also where we see Battle Pug for the first time. There's literally just a pug that is a dog that lives with her in this cabin. It's like, what is even happening? I don't understand. But then when she's, kind of resting and not obviously not feeling great and taking a bit of time, we have a visit from a character called Allegro.
Yes.
Who we will go. It is a very good name, and we will go. We will find out that Allegro is her brother. They are related, blood relatives in all manners. And he is trying to convince her to stop with this lifestyle, to start drinking blood again, and to come back to the kind of the side that's trying to progress the vampire's interests.
Yes,
but she has no interest in that.
He has far more aggressive outlook on the humans.
Yes.
Or as he refers to them, and the first time that we hear the term warmies.
Yes, I cannot tell you how much I hate that phrase. It's just
now,
just
has that ever been used before in any sort of vampire fiction or anything like that?
I have never felt that level of cringe before. So I'm going to suggest definitely not in anything I remember. Didn't feel great.
It really made me crack up when he came out with it the first time, because it's just such an innocent sounding warmies. Sounds like a product that would come out for like a baby's hands or feet. I had to buy him a new pair of warmies.
The tepid skins. It's just
I didn't expect it.
Yeah, it's not a great name.
Yeah, I sort of, because you hear others refer to the humans not exactly as warmies, but sort of the warm ones.
Yeah, the warm ones I kind of get.
Yeah, warm ones and warm kind. I don't know whether it's implying that warmies is effectively a racial slur, or
it just reminds me of the word like normies. But... It's like, it's like, no, I don't know. Yeah,
you want to watch out for those normie warmies. They're the ones.
Oh God, nobody wants a normie warmie. They're the worst ones, because they keep rhyming. But yeah, he started trying to convince her, is like, just would you drink some blood and please come and fight? Essentially, it's like, exactly, we've got people to kill, stuff to do. Let's go and do it, because.
And she sort of has this, almost like unwillingly, has this position of sort of icon amongst like a lot of the vampires, right? So that her presence, sort of on the front line would be a really big deal.
Yeah, it's huge. And also, as we're about to see, is that she's not without skill. She's adept at this sort of thing, and she can take care of herself. And I think that's the thing that I could imagine, being as it were blessed with the skills to kill when it comes to like killing the humans versus the vampires. But it's that idea of like, oh, what a curse that is for you to actually be good at this. Like, it's like the thing you don't want to do. I'm exceptional at this.
Exactly.
I'm not like, oh, I tripped over again. Sorry guys, that was me. I tripped the fire alarm. She's not clumsy. She's very adept. So obviously, there is a they're looking for their moment to strike, essentially. And earlier when we were talking about the idea that there is the nest that the humans, the warmies, are going to go and investigate. And we kind of intersplice this with a conversation of Momo letting her friend hear the sound of the music box that she's fixed over some sort of radio or over some sort of walkie-talkie. Sure. And Momo's mum coming in, realizing that she's awake, finding the music box and being furious because that's the vampire culture. Music's their culture and not ours.
Yeah, that was a super interesting line, I thought. Music is their culture.
It's definitely interesting, because I think the idea is it's the sort of lavishness of it, because it's an excess, right? It feels like the humans are doing very much all they can to just survive without excess. But I think that there's kind of a thing there that they're doing where that's to make you sympathize with the humans. It's like, look how hard life is for them for whatever reason that is. And then the vampires have got everything. They just dance and drink blood, and
humans are the ones that are being trodden on.
Yeah, it's like we're trapped in this city because we're defending ourselves. Yeah. But you know, we kind of see that's less the case, I think, to a certain degree. But of course, so Momo gets the shit slapped out of her, and then Mum's like, sorry about that.
Come here.
Yeah, come here. Give me a hug. It's like, I'm good.
I'm really sorry for the haymaker. Would you like a cuddle? And
that bruise will heal right up. She is apologetic and looking to move past this so quickly. Like, you have just struck your child. We need to process this more than shouldn't have happened. But it's okay. Let's just pretend like it didn't.
Yeah. But Momo showed a good bit of strength there by refusing and then storming out the room.
Yeah, like I think we are seeing that where like Momo is not. We're starting to see the comparisons that they're drawing between Momo and Fine is like as captives of their own culture. Is like, I don't want to live like this, and I want to live like the way I want to live, but no one will leave me alone to do it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's sort of no one is allowing them to live the lives they want to. In either scenario. But as you say, at this moment we get a kind of an earpiece phone call to the general to say the nest, it's not a nest, and it's just a huge fucking bomb. Yeah. That takes out a big section of the wall as well. Yeah. And then the vampires attack. Lots of them. Like just deciding it's like, hey, now's the time.
I thought that was a really cool thing they did when they, with the impact of the bomb explosion, made the music box hit the note that it had stopped on. I thought that was really, really nice. That was really nicely done.
There is some incredible music and sound design in this show. And so this is the part where obviously they're like, as long as we have the lights, everything's going to be okay. And we kind of hear the vampires discussing. It's like, well, we're just waiting on them cutting the power. And you're like, who's cutting the power? And the vampires are kind of murdering a bunch of people on the top of the wall. They're using some surface level explosives to take out sort of large swaths of the lights on the top of the first segment of wall. And this is where we kind of cut to some lunatic smashing a big thing with a mallet. Is like, I did it, I fucking destroyed it now, and now they're gonna make me a vampire, it's gonna be amazing. And it's like, what? You were safe, my guy.
Yeah that guy's he's in a hard time. He's been sold on a future that's not going to pan out for him.
It's the ultimate pyramid scheme. It's like, a vampire, man, it's gonna be sweet. We just need you to turn so many other people, and then it's going to be profitable for you. It's definitely not an MLM, not a chance. No. He's super bought in. And then of course the lights go out and all hell breaks loose.
You see them all sort of swarm towards the settlement. Which is a really great visual.
I think as well is that I genuinely thought that this movie was going to start off with just the flattening of this human city. And that turns on a dime so goddamn quick. No, that's not what happened. It's like this, like, you know, in the parlance of internet memes, is it going to be difficult for them to get the lights back on? Oh no, super easy, barely an inconvenience. Like, it is not a problem. Those lights will be back on like nobody hit it with a spanner really hard multiple times, knocking out the power. It's going to be great. Like, going to be brighter than it was before. So that's basically what happens. Is they have a fight in the dark for a bit. You know, Momo is on the run still. And I think is almost killed is attacked. Is she down at the riverside?
Yeah, she goes down to like
That's what it is.
the river or the lake, which is really like like psychedelic looking and
It's
multicolored.
super purpley and greeny, sort of aurora borealis-y.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
In a really interesting way, and she is stood by this riverside,
Yeah,
singing this song that
yeah.
she's heard from the music box.
From the music box, yeah.
And Fine, of course, hears this and is like,
Yeah.
"Where the fuck did you hear that music?
Yeah.
I have to know." And of course, she's like, "Don't kill me.
Yeah.
Leave me alone,
Yeah.
vampire." And then there is an attack from the other side of the river, where
Yes.
the human reinforcements are now on the bank of the other side. They're firing across. I think it's actually her friend, isn't it?
It is, yeah. She's involved in this. Yeah,
Marina
absolutely.
is there and
Yep.
you know, trying to shoot. So yeah, she's listening to this music box, listening to this sound that the singing that Momo has been doing at the side of the bank.
Yeah.
And it's sort of this kind of sad moment of Momo just genuinely despairing at being where she is, because she doesn't want to go back home and doesn't know where to go, because she literally has nowhere else to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's when Fine finds her in this sort of that moment. Then it's, I think, like she crosses the river after the sort of hail of gunfire.
Yeah.
And she catches up with Marina, and there is a large injected jacked vampire who is about to strike Marina. And it seems like Fine might have saved her. She kind of swoops in.
Yeah, so I thought at first that she was completely saved.
Yeah.
And then but it turns out unfortunately no.
No. It was too late.
It was too late, yeah. And I like that. Yeah, I mean, again, that this is made clearer a little bit later, but I like that it's starting to map out that parallel of something that's already happened in Fine's life.
Yes.
And the reason for why her and Momo are, you know, why they're hinting at this foundation of some sort of relationship here.
Yeah.
But yeah, genuinely sad moment.
Yeah. I saw it coming.
Yeah.
I like, as soon as it was like, oh, she's got a friend, she's gonna die in this episode.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way she's getting out of this. And it was just a matter of when. And even when, like you say, it's like, I thought she got her. It's like, oh, it's okay. Like, Fine has taken the brunt of that hit.
Yes,
and Marina's gonna be okay here. Maybe I was wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, no, she's super dead.
No, she is the equivalent of the policeman 1 week from retirement.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's toast. She's never gonna get that Rolex.
No.
But yeah, it's and then of course, Fine continues to defend Momo from the persevering attacks of this vampire.
Yeah.
And she flies away with Momo, crash lands near a wall at the city, and the vampire arrives, but then gets side hit by some lights and stopped.
Yeah, they have like a huge light, and then a team of guys firing at it, and they're being led by Momo's mother.
By the general. Yeah.
The general, yeah, and then she's informed that Momo will be caught in the crossfire if they continue trying to bring this vampire down.
Yeah.
And the general said, "Fuck it, I don't care."
Yeah, it is sort of a moment. It's like, well, she didn't hug me after I slapped her. Yeah, it's like this is going to be a good way for no one to find out what happened. We could bury this shit right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that is a, like, I suppose if I'm putting my narrative hat on, there must be an element of that, because I think the general's responsibility is to everyone in the city, and the consequence of not dealing with that threat is at the time potentially significant, So she's making a hard call very easily rather than making a hard call with difficulty.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's almost a little bit like she is going through the motions of what her responsibility should be.
Yeah.
And just is like, well, I considered it, but also I got a job to do. So if it moves, fucking send it to hell. Just and the vampire too. Just do it. But of course, I think this is also the point where the lights all of a sudden miraculously come back on all of a sudden, and the vampires are like, oh fuck, bail out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
city's saved now.
That's right.
Great, amazing. How did that happen?
Yeah.
We never find that out. The lights just come back on.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The guy was turned. The guy was turned again by a human with a more attractive pyramid scheme.
It's like, have you considered
fix these?
It's like, have you considered hitting these with a pipe until the power comes back on? Perhaps. It's like, oh no one's ever talked to me about that. Have you thought about a job where you sit at a desk and look at papers and salute people? Maybe.
Yeah.
That could
what did
be
the vampires say they would give you? I'll double it.
Yeah. Like, cool. 2 bloods. Yeah. It's like, yeah, they said I would be a vampire. It's like, well, I will make you a double vampire. How does that sound? Because you seem crazy enough to believe that. And he is. But yeah, the power comes back on, and then we have Fine escaping in essence with Momo.
Yeah.
In a car.
In a car, yeah.
Yeah. That was interesting.
Which did amuse me quite a lot, because it was just the visual of it. After seeing them sort of fly through the air.
Yeah.
And then she's sort of checking her rear view mirror as they reverse out of a parking lot or something like that.
Bumps into the...
Yeah.
It is a little bit sort of the T-1000, where it clamped onto the back of this. Oh, fuck, vampire. Gotta go. And then, they just drive away.
And they're being shot at as well, aren't they?
They are, even though she's in the car still. Like, I mean, yeah. Like, they really don't care.
No.
And I think that's how we end the first episode.
I believe so.
That's crazy.
I have to say, the animation of vehicles in the show I absolutely loved. I loved the way they did it. There's a shot quite near the very beginning where I think there's two trucks driving into the humans' sort of settlement, the city, and I thought the visual was great. The animation was lovely in that. Yeah,
it's cool. And then the imaginatively titled episode 2. This one obviously has them on the road, going to her mansion.
Yeah.
I can't remember if this one starts off with the introduction of... I can't remember if we introduced that character before the attack or after, but we introduced Kubo and his crew of people. Oh, they're trading information at the start of that, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're
right.
giving blood to vampires to get information from them.
That's right. I really like that bit. There's a very genuine moment where one of the guys who's with Kubo sort of turns to his friend and goes, "God, I hate that guy." It was just it sounded so genuine. It really made me laugh.
And I kind of do. But I think it is interesting as well, because he's like, why don't we just kill them? He's like, well, if we do that, they're not here to, like, we don't have to deal with them if they're fed, and we also get the information. If they're dead, no information. He's like,
exactly.
But if they're dead, it's like, please stop this conversation. Just deal with the fact that this is how we're going to do it. And this is where we introduce the vampire mechs, the anti-vampire mechs, where it's like, these are the babies that are going to do the job. It's like a, I don't know, like a ball with some Gatling guns attached to it.
Yeah,
with legs.
exactly.
It's really weird. It looks like the Pac-Man robot from Smash Brothers, but green. It's weird.
Yeah.
But we find ourselves in this sort of huge mansion
Yeah, they're having a sort of a feast. Well, one of them at least is enjoying part of a feast. This
the
huge
merriment.
banquet table. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is, I think, the bit where I was like, okay, so vampires do actually just do normal human things also, because she's obviously eating that food and taking something from that.
Yeah.
And it's Fine trying to sort of, convince Momo that, it's okay, eat, do these things, and she's like, oh, let's just, listen to some music and now dance with me. And she's like, no, fuck you. And like, pushes it, fuck you, fuck your soup, whatever it is you're doing here. And just like,
she comments on the smell on the smell of the wine from her breath.
Yes,
and stuff like that. Just, it was another like interesting little touch.
You lush, get away from me. Just, like, really aggressively not into being saved, apparently, and safe. Of course, I think she's still at this point blaming Fine to a degree for Marina's death.
Yeah,
as well.
Exactly.
We also find that Momo sees the picture in the music box, because there's a picture in the music box that's also like a big mural in the mansion.
Yeah. It's an interesting touch.
It's definitely unique. That image, and we obviously find out what that's supposed to be of. Now, where do we go from here? Is this where I'm sure Allegro turns up at some point and it's like, could you just stop all this?
Yeah.
But I can't remember when that happens.
Where in relation to this bit is the point? Is it the same episode where Momo then starts to come around, like she has a nightmare?
Yes,
she has a nightmare and then wakes up in a bath.
I mean, that's some scary shit. It's like, I've been sleep bathing again. Yeah, that is weird. She's a nightmare, and she's like, oh yeah, you were like feverish and stuff, so I just put you in a bath.
Yeah, cool. Don't worry. You had a nightmare, but don't worry. I undressed you and put you in this hot water.
Put you unconscious into something you could drown in. Of course I did. Yeah, I think you're right, because she has the nightmare about her friend dying.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think she wakes up in the bath.
And you start to see the turn in their relationship, because previous to that, Momo storms out of that banquet hall, doesn't she? Or no, and then Fine sort of retorts with, fine, this isn't going to work. Do whatever you want. Go wherever you want to go. You're free and all this kind of stuff. And then
she goes nowhere.
She goes nowhere. With freedom handed to her, she decides, no, I'm gonna vomit in my sleep and hope that you put me in a bath. Yeah.
Instead, I'm going to grow increasingly ill and hope that you'll be there to deal with that. Good Lord. Amazing.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, so she's in the bath, and Fine brings in, she's like, this is a record, and puts on the music, and she's like, and the person you're listening to is human. Yeah. She's like, oh, I don't understand how that could be. Yeah. It's like, well, things always weren't the way they were. And she's like, and this is how I think she hands her she's like, do you want to read what it is she's saying? Yeah. It's like, because what she's saying is about how she's feeling, about how what the music makes her feel, and expresses that's this is a way that people deal with emotions, is through music. And I must admit, there are some incredible music pieces in this show that I just really adored. Some of the sort of the string and piano pieces are just brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this is a kind of a nice moment where it's that kind of explanation where I do like that she just is like, so here's the cardboard sleeve to the vinyl. You just hold that in the hot water with your wet hands. This is one of a kind. Like, we'll never replace this. So you just hold it. I'm gonna go, and she just leaves. She just leaves her. Leaves her to have a bath. What the fuck? Super weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we get to the point where she she is teaching her. She's showing him the piano, and like, why don't you try singing? Like, this will help, sort of, to mourn the death of your friend.
Yeah.
Like, cool.
Yeah, and she's immediately a very accomplished singer, which I enjoyed.
Immediately. Like,
yeah, and there's a similar part later on where she's immediately very capable at the piano.
Yes.
Having never sat down at a piano before.
I do like that there is a large portion of that song where she's literally doing, like, knuckles and playing something that sounds all right for some reason. But yeah, I think, and she, like you say, she sings sort of very beautifully, and the piano is very, very complimentary. I think it's again this kind of nice moment where Momo gets to experience that emotion for the first time, really.
Yeah, which has obviously been stifled, for a very, very long time. If not her entire life to this point. What age is she supposed to be, by the way?
I think at the end of it they said she was 16.
Oh, did they say that?
So I think I heard. I'm sure I overheard that, and I suppose that makes sense for somebody in relative military service.
Yeah,
like 16 would probably be. I want to choose my words carefully here. That is an unacceptable age for anyone to enter any sort of military zone, but for a believability's sake, I would believe 16.
Yeah, absolutely,
for sure. And this is of course when Kubo, I think it's an arrow, just fucking flies through the window.
Yeah, that's right.
Holy shit! It's so cool.
Yeah, and I actually thought that was it for Fine. I thought that was it for that character. I was like, I can't believe that this one, but seems like they're building at least 50% of the show around.
Yeah,
has just been shot in the neck with an arrow and is dead.
It's like super dead. It's a hell of a shot because it goes through the glass window, and then of course we have kind of Kubo come back in and go, haha, here you are, my niece.
It is I, your uncle.
Your uncle. I have no fucking idea who you are. He's like, come on, you know me. No, I don't know you. It's like, man, how shitty an uncle do you have to be in a society where there is nothing to not know to your niece to go, meh, I don't know who you are. Holy crap.
Exactly.
It's awful. And he's like, time to come home. Your mum's worried. And she's like, well, nah, I don't want to do that. And this is where the kind of the fighting ensues.
Yes.
But as you say, having thought that Fine was most likely dead, she does in fact rise to the occasion and fucking lose her mind.
And just pull the arrow out of her own neck as well, which I quite enjoyed.
Ouch. Definitely an ouch.
And then in the ensuing fight, the distraction allows Momo to escape the room.
Yes.
Is the brother's not there at that point?
He arrives.
Yeah.
And he's like, come on, time to go.
That's right. Yeah.
And she's like, nope, I'm not. I'm not doing this. And this is where Momo has now jumped onto the chandelier in the middle because there's vampires flying in everywhere and they're attacking, and then the other people from the human city are attacking Kubo and his team, and Momo is like flailing up on a chandelier for some reason, and then is it somebody uses like a rocket launcher or something like that, and it blasts a hole in the roof and starts to cave in the chandelier, and this is where Fine flies to save Momo, successfully does so and tumbles out the way, and then the Pac-Man vampire destroyer gets crushed under the chandelier.
That's right. And they escape at that point.
Yes, they do.
The mansion is destroyed, isn't it?
It's burning down basically.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's flames everywhere. The vampires and Kubo's team are just fucking losing it.
For it. Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure they get into the car again.
They do again.
Yeah, it is a bit. Yeah, that car.
They do. They get into the Peugeot 207.
They get into their Peugeot, and then Kubo is the T1000 this time, And
Yeah.
fucking like, I've got this car, and he's just holding on to the back of it.
Is this when and Momo's driving, isn't she?
Momo is in fact driving.
Momo's driving, and we find out almost immediately that she has never driven before.
Never.
They should have done more with the fact that this girl can apparently
just
turn
do
her
things.
hand to absolutely.
Holy shit! Is she Neo? She just knows shit straight away. God, that's insane. Oh my word. Yeah, she's
driving remarkably well.
Yeah, she does a great job. It's a stick shift as well.
Yeah.
And she somehow manages to deal with that. But yeah, she's like, oh, they're blocking the road. I can't go through the road. She's like, there's a path down to the right. There's not a fucking path down to the right. There's just space for that car to be. That is not a path, Fine.
Yeah.
You need, like, someone needs to tell you what a path is, because that's not what that is.
Is that when the car does this sort of weird, like, slide down down a cliff face?
I almost...
But it remains perfectly
level.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And immediately I heard the Tony Hawk grinding sound effect, the as it's going down the side of this hill. And I almost went and found the sound effect for that, because I was like, that is legit exactly what this is, and it's oh god, it's so good. And yeah,
the car does a 540 melon.
Yeah.
And
Blind melon, no face FS.
Kickflip to safety.
Yeah, they do. They just it's amazing, and somehow they are still alive at this point. And Kubo is now left in the snow, just hanging about. And of course, then, like you say, we get to this bit where she's like, I should probably have told you that I can't, I've never driven before. And she's like, for fuck's sake, keep your eyes on the road then. God, how dare you? And then we kind of cut back to Kubo kind of standing up from the snow and going, He's just like, oh god.
That's a great moment. He just emerges from the snow, poker straight as well.
Yeah. Oh, it's incredible. It's so good, so good. And this is where they kind of there's a bit of a bonding perspective from them, where they realize that
there's a bonding montage here.
Yeah, I think it's that realization that they are, because the thing about this picture is it's the idea is that it's a place called Eden. We find out, and it's like Eden is the place where vampires and humans live without complication. Like that's just how life is. Allegro doesn't believe it exists either. Fine doesn't believe it exists, but Momo is confident that a place like this can exist. And wants Fine to come with her to find it, so that they can, because they're both, as you said, both really unhappy in their lives on either side. And now with the mansion gone, it's like, look, we need to go somewhere. Let's go and find Eden, and that's where we kind of end this episode, starting the road trip portion of this anime that I did not expect. Like it's like we've spent so much time in a fucking car already. It's insane.
I can fly, but I also really want to just visit a bunch of gas stations. So do you want to come?
God, that's right.
You want to come with me?
Why are gas stations just so okay? Who's refilling those? Like the fucking octane on that just must be non-existent if it's been sitting there for years.
I swear. It was a funny one. I didn't expect that bit, because it gets the show at this point actually becomes really really nice and innocent.
It's very
and
cheery.
There's a sort of extended spell where there's sort of no violence or anything like that. But no, it's good. It serves the purpose of strengthening that relationship that the two of them are building up and things. And this hunt for this place, which is definitely
a thing.
Definitely a thing.
So here we are. We've arrived at episode 3, and at the start of episode 3, I think this is the bit where they're are they not stocking up? I don't know where they stocked up. They went to a supermarket and got blood and chocolate and some others. I don't know, and a cassette tape.
yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, we've seen a vinyl and a cassette tape. So
Yeah.
this is set in 1979.
Yeah, it's just contemporary, or it's set now because it's like
Oh,
there's
true.
there's no proof of MP3s, but the cassettes and vinyls thereabout.
That's true.
I've definitely bought no less than like 4 vinyls this month.
Yeah. That's pretty
Because
true.
God help me. But I think like it's like valid. It's like, so where did you go? Was it like a Tesco Metro? It's just like, yeah, picking up some bits and pieces, some jars of blood, and this food, and it's like, yeah, okay. And she encourages her to put on this. Obviously, like they're starting to become more friendly and more
Yeah.
more invested in each other's futures, and. So they're always traveling and listening to music, but they listen to this song, and I found the name of the song in the Wikipedia article is "To Have You Around" by Trapper Shoep.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
I did not know the song. It's a nice enough song.
Nor did I. Yeah, it was. It was quite pleasant. Yeah.
And this is where we have the conversation where she's like, "Why don't you sing, Momo?" And she's like, I don't know any of the words." It's like, don't let that stop you. And it's just like, maybe let it. But also, she's like, "Oh, why don't you sing, Fine?" She's like, "Oh, I don't really, I can't sing." So, are you tone deaf? Yes, I'm probably tone deaf.
Yeah, that's right.
That's that kind of is a running joke.
Yeah.
And then where are we? We're back at the city, I think, at this point, where we're seeing the general being blamed for Momo
That's right.
abandoning and siding with the vampires.
That's right.
I think the irony is of course they see it siding with the vampires, but actually she's siding with no one, and so is Fine. Like they're literally they're right in the middle of all of this rather than on any one side. I think and obviously this is where they're continuing to. It's like, well, we're going to find her and it's going to be all right, and I'm still going to be a general. God damn it! It's going to be great. They then. I think this is where they arrive at the city, because they're like trying to find somewhere to stay in. It's this place is where like there's a vampire city that's red lights, and then a human city that's green lights, and they sit either side of a river from each other.
That's right.
And I think Fine says that they coexist because the humans, the vampires have access to gold. No, the humans have access to gold that the vampires want and will trade them for. So
yes,
sort of like this weird détente between the two sides, because there's a mutual benefit. Although it does seem like there are certain lower classes on either side that are potentially being used as currency either way. So this is where they go to the hotel. I suppose it's also potentially a brothel, maybe.
That's right. We've already learned at this point, or are we just about to learn about Arya, Fine's previous human friend?
Yes, I can't remember if this is the night. There's like a nightmare sequence in this where we see sort of a bit of a relationship between the two of them.
I feel like that was it. Is that episode 3 or is it earlier?
I think it's in this episode, I think. Yes, because I think it's when she goes all vampy.
Oh yeah, goes all vampy.
Yeah, she goes a bit super vampy. And so we check into this sort of Airbnb / brothel type place where the guy's like, war me. I suppose actually we should talk about the fact I thought it was really interesting when they drove up to the boundary of the city, of the town, and they were stopped. And she's like, the person's like, who the fuck are you? What do you want? And it's like, what's with the war me in the back seat? And she says, oh, she's my blood bag.
Yeah,
it's like that.
that's right.
Like it kind of. I'm trying to think if that was a thing that maybe happened in one of the Blade movies as well, where like the vampires would keep a human around to
Oh,
feed
that's
on.
right. That's right. That was cool. And she tells Momo on the approach to like keep her head down.
Yes.
Yeah, and then passes her off as sort of basically her sustenance accessory.
Yes. Yes. Her
Yeah.
clutch.
Our clutch, and then the guard makes a point of saying, like, you know, don't hold on to her, like toss her out when you've
Once you're done.
He says something like toss her out when you've sucked her dry or something
Yeah,
really brutal like that,
it is
isn't it? Like,
very uncaring. And then he also goes,
Yeah.
yoink, my sunglasses, and kind of runs away. These are the cost of admission. I don't really know what that was about, because she also gives her like, it's like a vial of blood for each of you and these sunglasses.
yeah. I would have really enjoyed it if that was his actual tone. It would have been in such contrast with the serious moment if he actually went yoink.
Yoink. Hey, thanks. Bye.
I am taking the... Yeah, just as he's running off into the distance. I'll give you these back, never.
These are mine now, okay? Yeah, is real funny. But yeah, like you say, she's staring at the ground, and then she kind of sits on the sofa in the back while Fine deals with the proprietor of the establishment, who is
Yes.
a kind of a Benjamin Franklin looking motherfucker.
Yeah, it has a sort of like Red Dead Redemption vibe when you
Yeah.
walk into a saloon and no one wants you to be there.
Yeah, legit. Because in
yeah.
fact, they're singing the women of the night, literally, who I think are also kind of singing in the corner to deal with their
Yeah.
pain, I think is what Fine says.
Yes,
And he's like, I don't really want any warmies here. Don't be bringing me trouble, Queen of the Vampires. And she's like, what if I gave you all the blood? He's like, well, I do like blood. I am a vampire. You know your audience. Come on in.
yeah.
And he's just he changes his tone very quickly, and it's just like, yeah, just on you go. It's fine. Go and enjoy the room. It's just for one night. It's cool. Because the car is busted. That's the other. We should have said, actually. That's why they're kind of stopping.
That's right.
It's like, will this car be okay? No. I like the matter of factness with which she says that. Is this going to be all right? No. We need to get this fixed. This thing is like, we grinded this car down the side of a mountain and kickflipped to safety. This thing is completely goosed. There's no way out of this.
It's quite frankly a miracle that we even got this far.
Yeah, the axles are like pointing in different directions at this time, but yeah, we somehow made it here. I don't know how.
Yeah.
But yeah, they head up to the room, and Fine starts to this is where she plays the piano, right?
Yeah, so they play piano and then they start to they're sort of laughing and joking, and they sort of dance a little bit and both fall onto the bed.
Yes, that's right.
And then there's like a turn where like Fine goes a bit too vampire.
Yeah, she sees the glowing blood veins in her neck.
Yeah, and then sort of has her pinned, and then very quickly sort of laughs it off and says, "Oh, I'm only joking," which Momo accepts far too quickly, in my opinion. Like, oh, that's funny. That's funny, creature which is murdering my kind and could kill me very quickly. You were only joking.
That's so spot on. It's like, I paired up with Joe the Axe Murderer, and he like held the axe really close to my head and like took a swing, but then stopped and went, ah. Like, and I was like, yeah, that's right, Joe. You're just kidding. I need to get out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. So Momo just brushes it off, which I thought was remarkably trusting.
Yeah, it's definitely not a situation anyone should be in, and yet you're here.
But it's like hinting at the fact that Fine is she's beginning to lose the plot slightly because of a lack of blood, basically.
Yeah, it's starting to take over her, like, because her desire is not to be that way, but there is a, like, deep down there is a it's not a desire, it's a need. Like, there's a fundamental need, and she's starting to cross that boundary where it's not just the illness, it's now becoming sort of a bigger problem where she can't control that thirst anymore. I think it did to a degree as well. It's like, I think it hints as sort of like a kind of a romantic relationship between the two as well, because I'd initially thought of it as more friendly, but I think like we also hear, you know, you've already mentioned Arya as well, like that's clear, I think, at that point, that's a romantic relationship between Arya and or at least sort of not clear, I think it's hinted at, but I think
as well it's actually hinted like at that scene right near the beginning in the huge sort of ballroom, and Fiona is dancing with the girl, because she's dancing with the girl who's like who's very taken with her, and then after the end of the dance there's other girls who are sort of very, very keen to dance with her, and it's definitely like leaning towards the romantic as opposed to anything else, isn't it?
There's definitely sort of an admiration. And I think that the thing that you know, I suppose we'll find this out sort of a bit later, is because we don't really see Fine much in relation to Arya. We more see Arya in this, and you know, towards the end of the episodes, we see more of them together in relation to each other, and I think that hints more at sort of what the relationship between Fine and Momo is like, and sort of that kind of transition of position. Is exactly, because
it's sort of like a sort of replacement situation, isn't it? Because, because Arya was killed in the war.
Yes.
And was human and was killed in the war, and very much hinting that this relationship that Fine has with Momo is a sort of way for her to replace Arya. Or
definitely
that she had in her life.
Definitely hinting at that at this point for sure. And then now where are we? This is where as you say, this is where she just loses her shit though, right? She just can't take it anymore, and
so she's now up. Like she's starting exactly, and then she's aware enough of what's happening and why it's happening that she's very much just trying to get Momo out of there for her own safety. And then Momo's trying to fight back and be like, no, I don't want to. And then Momo even she cuts her own wrist. To let the blood drip into Fine's mouth. And then Fine sort of very weakly tries to sort of refuse. And then sort of like throws her out basically, doesn't she?
After, you know, like kind of ragdolling her around the room for a little bit.
Absolutely.
Gets a bit extreme, like kind of you know, like Hulk and Loki in the first Avengers movie, of just like smashing about the place. But you're right, she just punts her out, and after telling her explicitly, never leave the room because you're not safe. And then it's like, well, you're not safe, you're super not safe in here, so you might as well be less not safe out here. Like, okay, cool, thanks for leaving me in the hall. And she's like, you know what, she just needs more blood. And it's like, can we talk about this? Because she tried giving her blood. She went, I don't want your fucking blood. She's like, but what she needs is more blood. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. Like, she doesn't want it. She's told you. She's not interested. So, like, your plan is to escape this, you know, she gets outside first and has to deal with the people going, oh, fucking human, what's this about? And she's like, I'm going to run away and get to the human side and get the blood. And it's like, but what's your plan? So, you get the blood. How are you getting back into the room? Like, you already can't get back in the room. So... And if you then think, well, I'll find a way, could you not just find a way to get back into the room now and then make some jars of blood? Because she's KO. Like, just, she's like, oh, you know what? Like, you don't have to have my blood. Here's some blood I had earlier. And it's like, it's like, also it's my blood. Like, just... like, you know, work smart, not hard. And instead she's like, but what if I just like invade the military facility across the river? It's like, no, Momo, my God.
They're just bleeding into something and giving it to Fine and saying, this is cranberry juice. No, don't be so silly.
I'm reminded constantly these days, and it's not a good film, but it's a film I enjoy watching. It's a movie called Superhero Movie. It's really bad. And there is a bit in it where a guy aggressively coughs into a handkerchief and pulls it away, and it's like got blood in it, and he kind of looks kind of distressed at it, and the kid says, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "Oh, this is healthy cough blood." Like that will live with me forever. Like, I just know if ever there is anything seriously wrong with me, I'm going to be that sarcastic asshole no matter what. Like, that is gonna be me.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So yeah, she's decided to become a snake and just invade the military complex across the river, because that's no problem. To get blood. She just tries to get in at the front and go, "Hey, let me in." And they're like, "No.
Yeah.
Why are you here?" She's like, "I just need some blood for my friend." Why would your friend need blood if they're not a vampire? If they're sick, bring him here. You know, it's like, yeah. Didn't think about that one, did you? And they, quite rightly fucking shine a load of lights on her and try to shoot her. And then she's like, what was probably smarter is if I just go back round the back and pick a lock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could have done that first time.
Yeah. Exactly. She literally could do it first time.
Yeah.
Because apparently she can do everything first
Yeah.
time.
She knows kung fu and how to pick locks. It's amazing. And in the meantime, all the vampires are like, "Well, I saw that fucking human come out of here. There's more blood in here, right?" And the guy's like, "No, please, leave my hotel alone." And they come in and just fucking tear the place up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's like, "Well, she's upstairs. There was only one human. She's gone, but she was with this vampire, and she's upstairs, and she had all the blood. Just go and talk to her,
and
maybe."
She's like KO'd on the floor at this point, Fine.
Yeah, this is where she's having the hallucination.
That's right. Yeah.
This is where she's having the hallucination. Because, well, it's not quite at that point, because we have to get Momo back, because the reason she's hallucinating is because she's seeing Momo as Arya.
Yes.
So
yep.
Momo is on the other side, grabbing the bag of blood when she's attacked by Allegro, to try and get the location of Fine. And this is like, one of the greatest torture sequences I've ever seen to a child.
Yeah.
Where it's like, "Tell me where she is." "No, I'm going to stab you in the throat with this pipe until you tell me where she is." It's like, oh my fucking god.
No, yeah, you went 0 to 100. Really.
There is so little time for me to step this up, so we're just gonna have to go straight to the winner. Yeah, this is gonna be a quick match here. So, gonna stab you in the throat. Tell me what I want to know. And she's like, "Nope." It's like, well, I didn't anticipate this. I think she kicks his leg and stabs him.
Yes.
She does something. I think she wounds him somehow, right, because she does manage to escape by bailing out over the side of this like elevated area.
Yeah.
And she does eventually make her way back. She loses him, essentially. I think I can't remember if it's maybe the other soldiers find Allegro and start causing him trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that it's during this point where I think it's Allegro starts to kind of look out for Momo a little bit by saying like, "Hey, look, Fine's done this before. She like gets close to humans, and it's not good for anyone. Like, because it doesn't end well for the human, and it never ended well for her either." So and of course Momo is not interested in that at all.
No.
So Momo sort of escapes as the vampires are tearing the fucking place to bits. The other vampires have arrived in the room. They're tearing it apart, and they pick up the music box. And he's like, "Could I get blood for this?" And he's like, "I don't know, probably not." And he's like, and just lobs it into the fire. I can't just drop it. I'm gonna burn it.
That's right.
If you're not worth anything to me, you will be worth nothing to everyone.
Poor music box, man. That has been through some tough times.
Now it's literally just a spool that plays notes. Yeah, that thing is done. But then Momo arrives with the blood bags that are remaining. I think a couple of them broken from her fall from escaping Allegro.
Yeah.
And this is where this is where Fine has that hallucination of Arya when she looks at Momo. And then, Momo, basically they escape in the fucked up car.
Yes.
This is, oh my god, this bit is incredible, right? Benjamin Franklin, the brothel owner, comes out. He's like, my hotel, my girls, my establishment, and then because he's a vampire, he wants blood, and Momo is in the car, having put Fine in the back seat.
Yeah.
And he fucking just, like, GTAs her out of the fucking car, and it's like, holy shit, this is about to get very real for you.
That's right.
And, there's a really weird part, I don't quite get this, but he's so broken and distraught at the loss of everything. He's got her dead to rights.
Yeah, and he just he collapses in tears.
Yeah,
on
he
her.
just leaves it.
Yeah.
It's like, and because the next scene is we just see her in the car driving away and the hotel burning. It's like,
with
this is
Fine lying in the back,
lying down
in the back seat. Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really know what to think about that, but I guess
he literally collapses under the weight of his own despair, doesn't he? He says something like, I've lost everything. Or something like that, and then just breaks down.
It's super weird.
And then Momo just has this sort of awkward look on her face of, okay, grown man who has just collapsed on me and is now weeping. I'm just gonna go.
She's so oblivious to being the cause of all of this. Like, I mean, no, she didn't mean any of it, but it's like, hey, had you not been here, none of this would have happened. Like, this is why he's upset. He's upset because you're here and fucked up his shit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's incredible. Yeah, you're right. She's just like, oh, drama.
Yeah.
And, like, gets up and into the car. Good lord. Yeah, and then sort of they get to the safety of somewhere. I'm not sure where it is, but she sort of like forces the injection of the blood into Fine to bring her up, to bring her back. Yeah. They obviously, the car is totally goosed at this point. Yeah. Fine wakes up, rips the IVs out, and apologizes for everything. Yeah. And then they get in a boat. Then they get in a boat.
Yeah.
And then the boat becomes a sled. And then it's like, well, Fine's still pretty screwed over. She's not doing great. Yeah. And Momo is a child and dragging a boat sled through the tundra.
Yeah, absolutely.
This looks like the end for Moose and Squirrel. And then they basically pass out, and then Momo just wakes up in a bed.
Yes, which I suppose is better than waking up in a bath.
I mean, admittedly, no one was trying to drown her in her sleep this time, so...
Can they actually fly? Or are they... Because I'm just thinking again of all the sort of variation of transport that they've gone through. Can they actually fly, or do they just jump really high and then sort of glide?
This is positing sort of a Buzz Lightyear type scenario.
Yeah.
Are you flying or are you falling with style? Like, I need to know. I wonder. Like, I think she can fly, but I wonder like how much energy that uses. I guess is maybe
having to carry
Momo
as well. Yeah,
or
true.
Dragging her with a tether through all the stuff down below, just like scraping her along the ground. That would be pretty grim.
I suppose while skimping on sustenance as well.
Yeah,
long distance flight, not a good idea for Fine.
This is not going to work out.
So no.
And then she wakes up in a bed, and that painting that was in the music box, the picture,
Yes.
is just in the room that she's in.
Yeah.
And a young girl who is a vampire because she's got white hair and fangs, because they all look like that. We're not stereotyping, but they all look like that. She comes in and she's like, "Congratulations, you made it! It's you made it to Eden."
Yeah.
It's like a little island off the coast, that they were able to get to it because the water had frozen, I presume. And that's the end of episode 3.
Which means we're close to a truly heartbreaking twist.
Oh yes, I definitely didn't see this coming.
When we discover what Eden actually is.
Oh, it's the same as every salvation in The Walking Dead. We finally found our home. Oh, it's fucked. Something bad happened. It's like, this one's ran by a lunatic. This one's ran by a lunatic. This one's ran by a lunatic. This one only serves beer on Wednesdays. We need to go. Like, it's just like increasing stakes every time. See, episode 4 starts with Momo and this girl, Alicia. She's like showing her. She shows her around in like the electricity farms and things like that. Yeah. Like the electricity in the farms, like showing her how they gather electricity, and that the humans donate blood because that keeps the vampires. And they're going on a tour. It's like, we're gonna take you to see your friend, and she gets licked in the face by a goat, and that's really funny, or a sheep. And she's like, "Come on, we'll go and see your friend Fine. She's down in this abandoned submarine. Come this way. Everything's gonna be fine. We just need to go to the abandoned submarine." Holy shit! It's just so bizarre. And it's like, yeah, come in. And then, all the humans are like gladly giving blood, and everything's okay. And they arrive at Fine's room, and she's like, "Let me out! I gotta go.
Yeah,
I can't be here."
Yeah.
And the guy, the Inuit looking gentleman is like, "Can you not, please? Like, just you need to like feel better. Sit down. It's gonna be okay." And she's like trying to undo one of the kind of porthole type big doors, the turny twisty bank style doors. And Momo arrives with Alicia, and the guy's like, "Oh, she's here she is." She's like, "Oh, Fine, I'm so glad you're safe." And then the fucking door opens, and the guy's like, "Oh my god." Guys, this stuff's bad here. Like, God. And then he's like, "Oh, wow, you need to get back in there." And then he closes it up, and then we're okay.
Yeah, it's like, no, there's nothing suspicious going on here at all.
Nothing bad happened here at all. Like, not even, like, don't let that bother you at all. He's just bloodsick, and we just keep him in a hole in the boat.
Yeah. Oh, that's classic that guy. He's always... Don't worry about him. That is vintage, that guy. He's always doing this
That's
stuff.
always Crazy Tim the Vampire. He's always like, like, "Oh shit, this place is bad news." And then he just goes and drinks more blood because he's an addict. That's his problem. It's just very, very quickly dismissive of any of Tim's potential real problems. I'm going to call him Tim now. Holy shit, that is a very quick awakening.
That bit in Friends, like, "We don't need any more crazy today." You carry on wandering the halls, Bert.
Oh my god, that's exactly what that is. It's like, no more today. Thanks. Come back next week. We're all full on crazy right now. Thanks, guy. Oh my god, it's so funny. Like, I love the fact that Momo's just like, "Oh yeah, I guess that's sometimes you just got crazy wall vampires, I guess." And Fine's like, "There's no one else going to talk about that because that seemed bad." And you're like, "Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. That seems not good." Something about the stark raving lunatic that escaped from behind the walls to give you a message of danger didn't sit well with me. It's a little bit like one of the people from under the stairs escaping. It's like Hugo from The Simpsons.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've never even seen yourself. Yeah, it's good stuff. So this is where it's clear like Kubo and his crew and the vampire mech force have
Yeah.
managed to figure out where they are and are sort of going to approach the island in order
Yes.
to get her back. Now this is where Allegro appears again, isn't it?
That is right.
He comes back and he's like, yeah, you're only looking to kind of relive your past with Arya, so you're just being selfish,
Yeah.
you know. And I think like you kind of alluded to that earlier, where it's just like kind of replacement therapy. It's like, well, here's the thing I don't have, and here's the thing that reminds me of the thing I don't have. So let's just stick with that.
Yeah.
And it does feel a little unfair and a little one-sided, and you know, in that moment, I think you sort of feel for Momo a little bit because you're not sure how much of that relationship is actually legitimate and how much of it is just a longing for something that's not there anymore on Fine's part.
On Fine's part, yeah, exactly. Because she even looks like Arya.
Yeah,
You know,
she does.
There's a direct resemblance.
She does.
Yeah. You do start to feel for her.
And then we have the general joining up with good old brother Kubo, getting ready to invade the island and arrest Momo because she will pay for her transgressions. I mean, it's like, but you're only saying that because you want to like still be the general. It's like, yeah, but she has to pay. You know, she can't get away with this shit. And it's like, I mean, maybe be a little better, general. You're kind of failing at being a human and a mother here.
She could actually get away with it, and nothing much would change.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, like nothing actually.
There's still a war going on.
It's like, oh, she's back. What happened? She's back now.
Yeah.
Cool. What happened? I don't know, but we got her back, and that's what matters. You're right. Yeah, like, so if she was gonna play ball, just say that. Yeah, I got her back. It's cool. It's all fine. Like, what's that bruise in her face? It's like, I don't know. Something must have happened. Well, she's with that fucking vampire.
Yeah, it was a crazy wall vampire. I heard. Yeah.
Oh my god, poor Momo. But yeah, this is where it gets kind of interesting because Fine is obviously just not happy with the situation, and I think
she's super suspicious of what's
very
going
suspicious, but also she kind of takes what Allegro has said to heart, where it's like, I am actually stopping Momo living a life that she can be happy with because I'm selfishly just looking for what I want. So in order for Momo to live the life she needs to live, she wants to be in Eden and she wants to experience that coalescence, that codependency of vampires and humans. That's okay, but she leaves her Assassin's Creed Ezio Auditore wrist blade, and is like, hey, just in case you need to shank a motherfucker, here's a thing to do that.
Yeah, I don't need to teach you how to use this because I know that you'll be able to do it first time. So we're good. We're good. I'm good leaving you this deadly weapon.
Yeah, the note reads, hey, I don't need to teach you any of this. You'll know how to do this instinctively. Also, I'm just going to say these words now, do a backflip. And then she just does this perfect backflip. Just because someone suggested the possibility that it might be, she just does a backflip. Yeah, and then you know, this is the point where obviously she's quite upset because Fine's left, and Alicia kind of turns up and is like, hey, what's going on? And she's like, oh, Fine's left. And she's like, don't you worry, we'll find her. You just sit here and don't do anything. Hey, Inuit man, guard this door. Yep, I got you. And just closes the door on Momo. And she's like, no, you can't help. Just chill out. Everything's gonna be fine. And of course, this is where she sees the hunting party being formed out the window, and it's like, this doesn't seem right. Something seems bad here. So she escapes through the hole in the wall for the rabbits.
Yes.
which is an interesting escape. Yeah, it's interesting. So they go to kind of hunt her down, and this is where the kind of we see Alicia's kind of true colors step out a bit here as she tries to murder Momo.
Yes.
She just goes full on, forgive the pun, batshit.
Yeah.
She just loses her cool and does some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And they end up in a kind of a bit of a fight where Momo's injured and ends up hiding in the submarine.
That's right.
And she decides, you know what I could do? Free the crazy addicted vampire.
Yeah, because Alicia turns. She gets angry because Feeney leaves because she was going to be the idea was that Feeney was actually going to be an energy source.
Yes, this is the thing we figure out. It's like that's the reason they're hunting her down now, is because they didn't actually care for Momo. They just saw someone with a vampire come in, and hey, we don't want to do that with any of the people we know, but we can definitely do that with this stranger. And that's essentially this is more and more like the Matrix. This guy is just a battery. So they're basically using, I think what he says is that the power of his regeneration can be converted into electricity. Whatever that submarine has that in it. So that leads me to believe that's been retrofitted, right?
Yeah.
So that submarine itself must have been designed to be powered by a vampire.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is like that in itself is quite fascinating, and we do not go any further into that.
No, it would be nice to explore that a lot more, because that's super interesting.
If it had been a longer series, I feel like, maybe there could have been an episode where we talked very much about that. But yeah, being the number of episodes it is, it seems unlikely.
Yeah. But yeah, we learned that the vampires effectively in this place sold out their own to be to harness electricity from their own blood and energy. Yeah.
It's definitely interesting.
It's not what Momo had in mind when she thought about Eden.
No, I think Elisa says it actually at some point. She says it's like, this piece comes at a cost. Yeah. Like someone has to suffer.
Yes.
To allow this to happen. And like, and I'm sure I've talked about this on this podcast before, is like, Thanos maybe didn't have the worst idea, right? It's like, because people, the thing I like, and as I say, it's like, it is terrible to sort of weigh the suffering of one person against the many, and that seems really wrong.
Sure.
But weighing it up on the cosmic scale, on the Thanos side of things, where people are like, well, why does he snap his fingers and get rid of half the population of the universe? Why is that a thing? Why doesn't he just double the amount of food resource? It's like, well, and this is where it gets very dark, is no one learns a fucking lesson.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Nothing says, hey, don't fucking spoil yourselves and look after your planet, like half of the population disappearing.
Exactly.
Like, I think that's it is a little bit of a darker take, but also kind of like fair point. And in this example, I kind of see that same thing. Is like, I can see why. Yes, I think to a degree Eden is Eden, right? Like it's true, because she has created a kind of a utopia where they can exist side by side at the cost.
Yes,
and
exactly.
That cost is very extreme, but to their mind is just nothing by comparison of their happiness, and they're allowing them to live in a harmonious way. And I think their desire to use Fine beyond that is sort of that thing as well. It's just like, well, just another vampire, just one. It's just one. And if we keep them down there, it'll be fine. Like it's gonna be just fine. So I kind of get it. I kind of get the conceit. But yeah, obviously she is now freeing said addicted vampire and stopping the power in turn. And then he tells her the fact that actually those pictures that they leave for Eden are actually traps. They're actually things designed to bring in more vampires. Because essentially, I suppose what they have is that, well, this is our core group of people. The vampires want to live without consequence in having to deal with the war, and the humans also want to live without dealing with the war. So the vampires absolutely need the humans' blood. So the humans have to remain safe and have to be allowed to have a population. Exactly. And the vampires have to be there to get the blood and keep the humans safe. But also in turn, the vampires don't want to sacrifice themselves to be that battery, but they do need one of their kind to do so. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And then it's the whole. I suppose it says it's like the facade of coexistence. I think that's kind of unfair because I think it is coexistence. I don't think it's not. I think it's just not a fair coexistence. It's not. It's there is cost as we've discussed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Alicia then flat out murders that guy. He's gone, and like so many dead batteries, they're going to need a new one. And she just then begins chasing Momo through the guts of this weird nuclear-esque sub.
Catacombs or something. It almost has that sort of feel, doesn't it?
It's very weird. It's very, very weird. And this is when, I think at this point, is when we see... Because, of course, one thing we should have mentioned, I suppose, is that when Momo escapes, she's trying to get into one of the things to drive out and look for Fine. Yeah. But the fight that ensues between Alicia and Momo kicks off because she snipes the power plant next to her and causes an explosion.
That's right.
And she fucking says to the guy, "You had one job." Jeez. He's like, "Oh, sorry." And that's how Kubo and the rest see the smoke in the distance, and like, there it is. So they're going towards that, and of course the other villagers kind of rock up, and it's like, "Oh, hey guys, what's up? How's it going?" It's like, "Have you seen a young girl come through this way?" No, nothing like that. And it's like, you don't need to pretend to do this anymore. It's like, "Oh, thank God, kill them!" It's like vampires come from all angles, and we get a full on vamp battle.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. Meanwhile, explosions in the submarine cause that to start sinking.
Yeah.
And this is the moment where Alicia, I think, kind of has Momo dead to rights.
Yes.
And she just kind of whoopah, Requiem Apache, right in the gut. And then she reads the last rites in Italian. Sorry, that's Assassin's Creed. But yeah, she fucking wrist blades her in the gut, giving her a bit of a start. And Momo then escapes, and then in the most metal of deaths, where it's like stab in the stomach, that's not going to kill a vampire. It's like, but you know what will? A torpedo to the face. From so height. Good, isn't it? Yeah. Because
so
they're like
extreme.
Hanging on to the end of this torpedo, and she's like, "Well, I'm just gonna let that go." And she's like, "No!" Boom. And that kind of furthers the damage, destroying the submarine. And of course, Momo begins to drown as the water sort of kicks up. And Fine is found by, I suppose we should have said, is that Allegro rescues Fine. Yeah. Because she's had enough, and he lays her down, and then he goes on to deal with the other part of the battle, and they find her, and they kick the dog. They kick the battle pug.
Yeah, battle pug gets a punt.
Do we ever see battle pug again? I can't remember.
No, I don't think we do.
That's harsh.
I know.
It's a quick end to battle pug. But yeah, and then essentially we end the episode on I think what looks like Fine being she's basically been put in a coffin, a casket, and laid to rest somewhere. In a crypt almost, and I think that's the end of that episode.
Yeah.
It's seeming pretty dire at this point.
Yeah.
And then we kick into the last episode, episode 5. And this episode kicks off with more of a reminiscence of Fine losing Arya.
Yeah.
And this is the bit I was talking about earlier, where sort of we see the like we talked about the kind of romantic nature of like the younger women, the younger vampires, and the younger humans, women attracted to Fine, who's older now. It seems like there's an aging that vampires do. And I think that's the thing we're not really sure of at the time, is that seeing the age difference, I think, between Fine and Arya, who I think is older, and I think what we've seen is that reverse of position, where Arya is now where Fine is now the position of Arya in that relationship, and Momo is now the younger part of that relationship, and it's that sort of the looking up to and the admiration and that sort of romantic link, and it's basically it's Arya having, I think, been stabbed or shot. Shot or stabbed? She's injured in the stomach or center mass area, and
shot. I think
shot. And you know, and dies. Of course. That is enough to wake Fine from that reminiscence of that occasion, bursts her out of the dreamlike state that she's in, and just flies to get Momo from under the water. At this point, sort of they're flying away, and Fine is shot, I think. I'm trying to remember what happens at this point. Oh yes, sorry. She gets shot out of the sky, and she's telling Momo to just go without me, and that she gets shot up, and then does she not push it? She ends up in some sort of place where she's pushing her up through a gap in the wall.
Yes.
And she's like, just come with me, and she's like, no, I can't. Like, just go find somewhere, and find Eden, find whatever that will be, and I will find you.
I will find you there. That's right.
And then the humans catch up with her again. They're about to burst through the door with their lights and their guns, and they continue to shoot her. And it's at this point where Fine produces the syringe that she's had hidden throughout the series, and decides to inject
herself.
And turns into like a weird bunny.
It's literally it, isn't it? It's so strange.
It's like I'm trying to think of what's his name? Fucking Spawn. Who's the guy that did Spawn? Why can't I think of this right now? Damn. That's really gonna bug me. Todd McFarlane.
That's the one.
It's like Todd McFarlane's Bunnicula. It's mental. It's real weird.
Dear.
So Momo is then attacked by Allegro.
Allegro, who finally meets his demise.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't expect him to. Didn't expect him to have an end. This.
I know. But he sort of he shows a bit more of that like compassionate side at the very end. Tells sort of pleads for Fine to be saved.
Yeah, I've maybe made a mistake. I'm starting to think more about this. I don't think we ever do find out if they're brother and sister, do we? Is Allegro her brother, or
Oh,
is he just a servant of her? Because the thing is he talks about them growing up together. So I've
but yeah, I suppose
assumed
that could be.
brother,
Oh, that's really interesting now that you say that.
but
Yeah,
I don't.
maybe that's not actually clarified.
That's interesting. Okay. Well, whatever it is, like they have a relationship that is very close.
Yeah,
And with his last sort of does he have breaths? Like with his last whatever, he is like just save Fine
yeah.
because that's what's right to do. And then we have
I
Kubo.
think them being siblings is a safe assumption.
You think so?
Yeah, I think the appearance. I know that they all look vaguely similar,
Yeah.
but they do look like extremely similar. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I never even gave that a second thought. I just assumed that they were brother and sister.
Ah man, I'm going to need to find that. You know what? Doesn't matter. But anyway, Allegro is now dead.
Yes, Allegro has been shot in the heart.
Yeah, he's now out of play. But yeah, as you say, go and save Fine.
Yeah, who's now full monster bunny mode
Oh yeah, she's
and going at
ultimate
it
warrior.
with Kubo.
Kubo. Yeah.
Yeah,
Momo obviously tries to stop them. But because I think at this point Kubo has kind of had a few good swipes at Fine and is not winning, but is sort of definitely taking the advantage. And
yeah,
Momo runs in to Fine and tries to sort of get through to her.
yeah.
And then we return to previously on Hulk and Loki, and she just fucking whoa swing like,
Yeah.
and she's like,
Swinging
see,
a cat around the room again.
yeah, she's like, oh, it's too late, it's too late. She's just gone. Like I don't think there's it's you can't deal with her now. And I think she actually bites. Doesn't she bite like properly in the stomach, like properly clamps down on
On
Momo.
Kubo. On
On Momo.
yeah. Yeah.
So there is a question in this: is that Momo's a vampire now, right?
Yeah. She would be.
She would have to be.
Yeah.
And then Fine then starts to become a little bit overcome by the memories of Arya, and I think what she realizes is that kind of love for Momo. It wasn't a replacement. It just felt that way because it was similar.
Yes. Yes.
Eventually, Fine lets Kubo live after that fight is done, and flies. She and Fine and Momo flee basically.
Yeah.
And she kind of returns to normal, kind of half.
Ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Half mutant bunny.
Yeah. Just a Bonek. And yeah, Fine tells this is the first time that Fine tells Momo about Arya. It was, and I think this is the kind of the sweet part because this is where we see that transition of relationship as well, like you were talking about. It's like who Fine looked up to Arya, and in this circumstance Momo looked up to Fine, and that transition of that romantic relationship into Fine being the one who can pass on wisdom and
yeah, it's really lovely that, isn't it? Because Fine comments on the fact that Arya was the one that that taught her this like passed on this like love of music and things like
yes
that.
yeah
And Fine has directly done that for Momo, and it's really lovely. I think that's just such a great narrative decision to have music run through that way.
it's
and then obviously, and even
nice
the names of the characters like Allegro and Arya and
yep.
It's lovely.
It's really nice. And I think she apologizes for treating her as a replacement. And I think that's what she says is like it started as that, You know, it started as it's like here's I can have that thing again that
Yes.
I want,
Yeah.
but it then changed into I
Grew
have the
into
thing I
something on
want.
its own.
Like it's
Yeah.
it's not a replacement for the thing I want. It is the thing I want.
Yes,
And
exactly.
that kind of love for Momo, and this is the bit that I found the hardest to watch. Is she says is like, you know, why don't you like I'm going to die, like, and I think we're kind of clear that that's how this is going to go.
Yeah.
And she's like, could you sing for me to mourn me? And she's like, I can't. And she's like, why? What is it? Because she says something like, why can't you sing or something like that? And she's like, no, because I'm tone deaf. Remember? It's just like, oh god, we're going to this joke in this moment. Okay. And I think like I think it's really sad because it's that that difficulty of because she doesn't and she can't.
Yeah.
She can't sing for her. She's just too overcome with the grief of losing her, and she dies not having heard her sing.
Yeah.
And it's such an immediate regret, I think. Like,
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, that's it, that was the one request she had. And it's like, I don't know, you don't have any right to have to do that. And she knew, like, doesn't change anything, but there was an opportunity for you to do that and you didn't take that.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and that's
Definitely.
it. So then she carries her body down, you know, from where they are, and there's Mother Dearest, who's just hanging about. It's like, ah, how terrible. Come home,
Yeah.
come home. And she's like, no. I think like there's a weird bit in this as well where there's a bit of a almost a you have no power over me sort of thing. Because it's the I know that like you've done terrible things, and I know deep down, regardless of that, it's that you care,
Yeah.
but I don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
And the mum's like, are you fuck? Points a gun at her and is like, just fucking stand still.
Yeah.
Come back. Come home. I'm just gonna point this gun at you. God damn it. And it's like, have you learned nothing?
I know.
Like nothing.
The slap didn't work. I wonder if gun.
It's like, perhaps bullet, or even a good pistol whip to the face may help. But no, she just walks away from her
refuses.
with her screaming,
Yeah.
and then we see kind of credits.
Yeah.
Did you stick about to the very end?
I did, and I'm very glad that I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we kind of fast forward, I guess,
Yeah.
as we see, because as we say, like
It's got to be a good number of years, doesn't it?
must be. It must be.
Yeah.
And the thing is that Momo is a vampire now. Surely, we like this must be a thing.
Yeah.
And she has created the real. Actually, you know how we know she's a vampire? Because she's holding a baby that's got white hair. That's how we know she's a vampire.
Yes, that's right.
Maybe that's the hint anyway. But she's clearly founded her own Eden.
An
and, like,
actual Eden, yeah.
and we can see like children singing and dancing and
Yeah.
kind of expressing and enjoying themselves. And my question for you is, what is the last bit? What do you think is about to happen at the very end? Because it ends on a breath.
Yeah. It's is it hard about to burst into song?
Yeah, that's exactly what I went to.
It's got to be, right?
Immediately for me, it was she was finally ready to sing, to
Yeah.
mourn Fine. That was it.
Yeah.
Immediately, it was that after all of this and all I've created and all I've done, I'm okay to do this.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
I really liked the end of this.
Yeah. It was great. It was a really, really nice. It was a really satisfying, sort of bittersweet, but a really like lovely ending.
Yeah, I think there's a great irony, I think, that Arya was killed as part of a relationship that nobody wanted her to be in.
Yeah.
And then Fine was killed being part of a relationship no one wanted her to be in. So it's step after step, and Momo is the last. She's the link in that breaks the chain. It's like, well, this is not going to happen now. Because I'm not going to live in either of these worlds. I'm going to make the world I want. Yeah, and I'm going to be the end to that. Is really nice. So what would you give this out of 10, do you think?
I got progressively more into this as I watched it, which is, I mean, that's absolutely what you want.
Yep.
From not obviously not just based on that on anime, but any TV show, and it's like so rare. Well, it is quite rare for that to be the case for me now. I'll maybe be like super invested in like 2 or 3 episodes at the start of something, and it might dwindle a little bit and catch me at the end of the series again or something like that. But I really liked it. I really love some of the themes. I thought I would give this like a. I would give this an. Oh man, I was about to say a number there and I felt too bold. I'm gonna go for an 8.2.
I was gonna go for a safe on an 8. I think I think there is enough good in this that I can say I really enjoyed the experience of watching it. I think the relationship between the two is really fascinating to watch grow and change, and that kind of the past implications and things like that were fascinating as well. There were parts of it I didn't like as much. I think generally the first couple of episodes were a bit weaker. Then once we got to closer to Eden and things like that, and we got to the hotel and things like that, that's where I really felt the sense of it changing. Was really, really good. But I enjoyed it.
But funnily enough, after we spoke about the merits of a brief show, there's absolutely enough there in this to have had a couple of other episodes. Obviously, the challenge there is maintaining the quality, but there's so much that could be fleshed out if they wanted to, like the history of the war and all this kind of thing. But it's super interesting. I guess then maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm contradicting myself. Maybe that was part of the appeal, that there was this, there was the real sense of this fully fleshed out universe, but you were just seeing one tiny little element of it.
It's the tiny piece on the big canvas, like that one through line. Is interesting. I did enjoy it a lot. Like, I think it was a really unique experience. Quite interesting. But I would definitely recommend. It's not a long watch either, so
it was really easy to digest, and I think most episodes were between 25 and 30 minutes.
I think the first episode was the longest episode at about 30 minutes, and then I think they actually progressively got shorter until the last one, which I think is just a little bit longer because of the bit at the end. I think we've almost talked minute for minute of recording to like we're at about just over 2 hours, and I think that's about how long the anime is.
Absolutely. That's worked out nicely.
So that's good.
I really enjoyed it, and it was a great, like I said at the very start about wanting to consume more anime. It was a really great show for me to watch because it's not. It didn't sort of damage that desire in any way.
I think that's where it gets. I think that's the thing is I found for the longest time, like I've watched anime for years. Like I've been watching it. Like we discussed this at length, so I don't want to like get back into it again. But like I've watched anime since I was like 8 and 9 years old, if not younger. Because I was watching, loads of old Starvengers, which is like a rebranded thing that they brought over, or Battle of the Planets, or Astro Boy, and then later like Devilman and Dragon Ball and all those things. Like Absolutely. And you used to watch Dragon Ball, right? Like when it was on Cartoon
I watched
Network.
a bit of Dragon Ball. It's
good stuff. But I think like the bit for me was when I went to uni, I used to watch, like, I watched even more, and I kind of broadened my horizons, and I started learning a bit more about the different types of anime there were, and then it kind of petered away, and I've checked in every now and then, and like I would watch In the New World or Gurren Lagann or Gantz, and I was like, yeah, every, you know, maybe year or so I would pick up an anime. And then doing this podcast, as I'm now not just watching the stuff I have to watch to talk about it. I'm now watching more of it because I'm seeing that there's a breadth of amazing stuff that I haven't looked at yet. And I really want to revisit Gantz, which is disgusting, but also incredible. Like, it is a show, and I've talked about this many times before, but it is a show that literally made me sick to my stomach with choice in the first episode, to the degree where I was unsure if I wanted to ever watch any more of it beyond that point. It was I was so disgusted at a choice they had made in that. I was just like, I'm not sure if I want to keep watching this. It made me feel morally wrong for being a person watching that thing. It's like, that's a thing you've managed there. You've achieved something. But yeah, here we are at the end of our bonus episode.
No, it was great, man, and I mean, thank you for suggesting it, because I had a great time watching it.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it was
hopefully,
great.
Hopefully
really
we can,
enjoying it.
You know, randomly dartboard another anime in the future, and it'll be just as good.
Absolutely, yes.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been an episode of Who's That Anime, an anime podcast, which you can find at anchor.fm/Who's That Anime, and anywhere where good podcasts can be found: Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Pocket Cast, Overcast, anywhere an RSS feed can be used. We don't get paid for any of this. We don't make any money doing this. So if you wanted to leave a review, 5 stars is always welcome. Anything less, absolutely welcome too, as long as we get constructive criticism to work ourselves in and figure things out.
Wait, we don't. I'm not getting paid for this?
We'll talk. You get paid in anime. That's the best part. It's
you
just
tell me at the end.
At the end, yeah, it's the 2 hours and 7 minutes, which is like 2 hours and 8 minutes in. I'm going to pay you in more addictive anime, where you will then want to come back and talk about more anime. It's a self-fulfilling sickness.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's wonderful, really. But yeah, that would be amazing. And again, since we don't like pay for any promotion and things like that, if people just want to tell other people that this podcast exists and enjoy it with other people, that would also be amazing.
Absolutely.
Colin, who's not here at the moment, does like to play video games at twitch.tv/couchfuel, and there is an archive of all of those videos if you go to youtube.com and search for the channel Couchfuel. Robbie, do you have anything you want to promote or say, or
never play 48 hours of Mario Party?
That's advisable.
Just don't do it.
Don't do that.
Have the idea. Even discuss the idea with other people and convince yourselves in conversation that it will be good and it will not make you a demented human being, but don't actually do it.
For example, I probably shouldn't tell you that we are considering doing another 48 hours of something.
Oh, dear Lord.
But yeah, we can talk about that another time.
But you know, I will do it.
Talking about a sickness that I have, I will do that if you were to. Highly suggestible.
I'm just telling other people not to. You know.
I'll do it.
I've come too far.
Yeah, that's true.
I've passed the point of no return.
That is very much the point of no return. Very much the point of no return. Having done the 48-hour marathon 3 times at this stage, I am now well beyond that. I'm outside the orc cloud and floating towards the edge of existence. So might as well go the whole way. But yeah, I sometimes like to play games at Hail Payman, twitch.tv/Hail Payman. There's an archive of that stuff at youtube.com as well if you search for the channel Hail Payman. And that's us.
Excellent. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for joining, and we'll definitely have you back. Maybe when Colin's also here.
Yes,
maybe
absolutely.
when he's not randomly available at the moment. He says he's not going to be available. and doesn't have an hour or 45 minutes to watch 2 hour long show.
Yeah, exactly.
He may be able. I did almost briefly consider saying, just come and don't know anything about it, because I don't honestly know that it's going to make a difference. But it's like, kind of at this point where it was like, you would just be sitting there going, what's happening? Why is any of this happening? It's like, yeah, you kind of need to know. You kind of need to know. So yeah, we will be back with our regularly scheduled programming. I believe we are 3 recordings to the end of Steins Gate, and then we'll be back with another bonus episode. I do not know what that will be, and then we'll be back with another season. I don't know what that's going to be either, but we'll have to figure that out pretty soon, I think, with the summer holidays coming up and breaks and the need to have an accelerated recording schedule. That will need to be decided soon. But thank you again, Robbie, for joining, and thank you for listening, everyone, and we will see you next time. Same anime place, same anime time. That's how we're ending these now. It's really bad.
I like it.
I can't even remember. It's from the classics, the classic Hanna-Barberas, I think.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I like it.
It's something. But we will be back. So, see you folks later. Bye.
Goodbye.
Vampires hear more than humans, a wider frequency range. It's very distracting. And because of that, you're tone deaf. Okay, I should always be on the road. Yeah, I heard you the first time.